Good afternoon and welcome to the Tuesday, January 10th, 2023 Public Works Committee meeting. Now is time for a roll call and determination of quorum.
Lehman. Here. Evans. Present. Roberts.
Here.
Ham. Here. Stroman. Here. Everyone is present and we have a quorum.
Thank you. Now is time for the adoption of the agenda. I have a motion to adopt by Councilman Lehman, a second by Councilman Stroman. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Now it's time for general public comment. This is a time for members of the public to discuss or express concerns to the committee on any issue, not limited to items on the agenda. Action will not be taken at this meeting on any issue not on the agenda, except by placement on the agenda by unanimous vote of the council members present. And I'm guessing maybe there's somebody here for general public comment? No? If there isn't, I will open it and I will close it. We'll move on to consent items, items 1 through 9, and I will turn it over to Public Works, I guess, or one of you two. Okay.
I will be speaking on items 2, 4, 6, 7, and 9. There you go. Okay, sorry about that. I'm in the target.
Right.
Okay, Stacy Titus for Public Works and Roger Hall for Public Works will be tag teaming today's agenda. I will be speaking on 2, 4, 6, 7, and 9, and then I'll defer to Roger for the other items. Item number 2 is an authorization to advertise for Well 12 VFD upgrade. As you recall, previously, Council awarded the procurement of the VFD equipment. So this is now the advertising authority for the installation of that equipment that was previously procured. Item number 4 is authorization for the mayor and finance officer for a three-year contract with Azteca Systems. That is our City Works maintenance software. And as the city is grown and as our maintenance needs are increasing, so are the software needs. This software upgrade is going to allow additional seats at the City Works as well as additional modules for capacity on our software on that asset management system would be, I guess, the acronym. Items 6 and 7 I can discuss together. Couple meetings ago, there was a bid acknowledgement that no bids were received for vehicle purchases for the water division, 2 half-ton pickups as well as a 3/4-ton pickup. As bids were not received and as allowed by South Dakota bid law, the city is able to negotiate a contract for the purchase of those vehicles. We have entered into negotiations with Dodge, and on the agenda is approval of the purchase of the 2 vehicles, half-ton and the 3/4-ton through Dodge as required by South Dakota law for negotiation. Item number 9 is a authorization for professional service agreement between Bartlett and West and the city for the Ellsworth Air Force Base meter facility. This is actually kind of 2 contracts. There is a contract in there to do the, we'll call it the demolition and forensic investigation. As you know, we had a failure at that facility. So the first part of the contract is going to be to investigate and determine what was the cause of that failure and if we were able to identify how that happened and what actions we could do different in the future. The second part is the actual design contract for the rebuild of the Ellsworth meter facility, as well as the CA component of that project. Those are the 5 items that I had on my list.
All right, I'll take over. Good afternoon. Item number 3 is authorize staff to advertise for bids for the St. Joseph Street valve repair. If you've driven through downtown, you see the spall starting to appear. This project runs from West Boulevard through 4th Street on St. Joseph Street, and it's a cooperative effort between our utility maintenance, and what we do is go out for bids for the actual concrete work, and then our utility maintenance inspects every valve through the downtown area. We've done this before over on Main Street and had a lot of success with it. So the next one is item 5. It's the final change order for the Anamosa Street water main extension for a decrease of $6,082. That's the one that's out there by Menards, ran from East North Street over towards the new development there at Shepherd Hills. The last one I've got is number 8. It's authorize the mayor and finance director to sign the resolution number 2023-003, construction fee resolution for an oversized water main up in the Auburn Hills area. This is a pretty standard thing. We're attempting to upgrade our system. We require the developer to put in an 8-inch, and by our master planning and needs for looping, this requires a 16-inch, and we typically pay the contractor for the oversize on that. So I guess we will stand by for questions.
Mr. Stroman, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. May I direct a question to Mr. Hall?
You may.
Roger, on number 3, the St. Joseph Street project,
Yes, sir.
is that when's work scheduled to begin on that? If we,
This one's a little bit dicey. Excuse me. We have to work around these downtown stuff with the 7th Street, so we require them to do the work before and after that time frame. So if they can get started before or get some of the work done, we allow them to do that. But typically what they do is come in after the, what's that called, Thursday nights, downtown Thursday nights is done, then they come in and do all their work, so.
okay, and so, and the extent of that project is, you say, checking the valves, but you're also going to be doing concrete? I mean, are we going to be digging the whole thing up?
No,
Like, did the sewer repair and all that?
no, the sewers downtown run through the alleys, so we don't have to deal with that in this project. What we do is where there are valves, we will remove that panel of concrete, dig down, and we will inspect the valve. Those were put in, I want to say, in the early 90s, early to mid 90s, and what we're encountering is corrosion, and they're just the valves are rusting, for lack of a better term. And it's not the valves themselves. Usually they have epoxy coating, which is really good, but it's the bolts that hold them together. So what we do is dig down, our utility crews dig down, and then they replace the bolts in what we call the bonnet bolts around the top of the valve, and then that does the repair, and it'll last the life expectancy of the valve. So it's a pretty simple process, and it's worked really well. But you asked about removing the concrete. They will go in where we have the little spalls down there, and if you've come down the left-hand lane of St. Joe lately, there's one you can't miss. The street guys have been putting millet or mix in there, hot mix, and they're patching stuff, and it just keeps blowing out with the weather and the water. So we have the contractor come in. They have a real small mill. Usually it's on the front of a Bobcat or a small skid steer, and they mill out, 2 inches deep or more if necessary, and then they clean it, and then they prep it, and then they fill it with a high-strength material. Same thing we did over by Ace Hardware West here 2 years ago. We've done it on St. Joe about 4 years ago. We've had a lot of luck with this.
A lot of those panels are separating, and there are ridges that are expanding there.
Oh, yeah.
And would the downtown traffic, would it be only one lane eliminated, or would there be more than one lane eliminated?
Quite often, it'll be neck down to one lane. There'll be 2 lanes closed. there's a lot of work to do down there. You talk about those panels separating. And right now, obviously, we're going into winter. Winter's hard on our roadways, you know, with the freeze thaw and everything. And it's a race between us and nature right now to get this project done.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I have no other questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Evans, you have the floor.
Thank you. I have another question for Mr. Hall. I see that we replace these valves now. Do they just sit in the soil, and are they accessible through what? Is there a manhole that's over the top of them? How far down actually are they? And is there some kind of enclosure that they sit in that a person can actually go down in there?
No.
And so it's basically just a pipe in the earth with a valve in it?
Yes, sir. It's basically the valve is buried in the earth, and that's why we have the additional coating requirements on our valves to prevent the valve itself from failing. Not saying they don't fail, but it ensures us and gives us longevity on that. And this has been the process for as long as I've been in the business, just to bury the valves. We don't typically put them in vaults or something like that for a water main. It's just not prudent. We don't have a lot of valve failures themselves, you know, but this is one of those things. You think back to 1992, I know one of the streets was done. That's how many years ago, you know? We're talking 40 years these valves have been in the ground. And we found that the bolts, you know, corrode and can fail. We've been lucky, knock on wood, we haven't had one fail, but this is a preventative measure, and it really protects our infrastructure for the long term. Oh, yeah. Stacy points out a good thing. You know, we used to have basically iron bolts. And what we do is, and I want to make sure I'm clear, this is a cooperative effort between engineering and utility maintenance operations. Engineering will supervise the removal or the concrete and stuff like that, and then the operations utility maintenance folks will come in, they'll dig up the valve, and they'll replace the bolts with stainless steel bolts. Now, we don't have to shut the valve down to do this. The valve stays operational, because what they do is they'll pull out 2 bolts on opposite sides of the valve, replace them with stainless steel bolts, high-grade stainless steel, and that ensures our longevity. So,
Okay, I'm just curious, the system. I mean, as I think and look at older cities, bigger cities and everything, and, you know, the tunneling that goes in and service tunnels and everything that happens in a lot of towns, even like, you know, Lincoln, where they used to have big steam systems downtown. And I just wondered, we have any of that going on in downtown Rhinebeck? We really don't have any subterranean access to anything, do we?
no, we don't. School of Mines does, if you've ever been over there in their tunnels. But we don't. Everything is direct bury water mains, and that's our practice.
Thank you.
Thank you. If we have no other questions from the floor, I'll look for a motion. Go ahead, Mr. Ham.
I got a question about item number 9. Is it okay if I speak to, I'm not sure, I think it was Stacy, Mr. Titus, if it's okay. I was looking through that contract, and what you described here was that there's a investigation as to the cause of the failure and build a new one. I don't see that listed on the contract. Maybe I'm missing it.
Yes, if, it's actually, you'd have to get into the attachments for the contract, but the easiest place to see that is in Exhibit B, I believe. And I had flagged that, if you bear with me a second here.
Okay.
Yes, Exhibit B, page 2, 3, and 4 outlines the forensic, the demolition and forensic evaluation and report. That amount of the fee is right at about $62,000. The other portion of the fee is the rest of page 5. It goes through that, and that would be our typical design package of tasks 1, 2, and 3, which is preliminary design, final design, bidding services, and then we do the construction services, which are our tasks 4 and 5 items.
Excellent. All right. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you. Any other questions from the dais? If not, I'll look for a motion. Bill moved already, so I have a motion from Councilman Evans, and I have a second from Councilman Stroman. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Have a motion to adjourn? All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.